Hello, welcome back to my tea house. For today's cup of tea, we'll be taking a closer look at one of my recent lab matches, playing the Lullaby Nobara V3 versus the purple JJK Mahito deck. You already know we have to shout out the boy, Cardware TCG, for sponsoring us as a Union Arena player. If you are looking for new deck boxes, some new deck binders, or some card sleeves for your new JJK set or soon to be Code Geass set, please use Lullaby 10 on your next purchase to get 10% off. That is Lullaby 10 for 10% off on your next purchase. Now, Nobara is my first love. It is the first deck profile I have ever made for this channel. The first video to reach 3K. Thank you so much, guys. But truth be told, I was a noob. I was garbage. I was trash when I made that deck, okay? I didn't really know much. And I feel like I may have improved upon the deck. After all the experience that I've gotten playing some of the professional players through our labs online, through going to these events, through looking at future sets and just seeing what the deck really wants to accomplish, I feel like I may have solved some of the problems that everyone was bringing up whenever they played it. The first and most important being the lack of draw in the yellow deck. To subsidize this, I have gone ahead and swapped out the unlimited voids for 3 blue 0/1 Nobaras. They allow you to draw one, trash one. They have a draw trigger, so if you get hit out of life, it replaces itself. And on top of that, it is a raid fodder for Nobara herself. Now, if you get this early on, you could play this to help Psycho dig deep, and then you can also use it as a chum blocker or just to get some early damage in. Now, some other things that we've gone ahead and changed. We've taken out the 0-drop pandas because we want triggers. I've talked about this the last time on my deck profiles that I'm starting to understand that triggers are king. And we've gone ahead and put in the 0-drop Makis. They have a active trigger plus 3000, which is super important when you have the double blocker 4/1 Gojo and the double blocker Panda as well. It can get you out of sticky situations and you don't have to fear getting no triggers out of your life, bro. I feel spoiled playing with the deck that I'm taking to Orlando because I only have 4 non-triggers in that deck, so I'm always getting something out of life. It's pretty rare if I don't get something out of life. Now, on top of that, we've gone ahead and gotten rid of the 0 Yujis as well to add in the new package that I think has helped up the tempo of this deck. Now with Nobara, I want to try and get that early aggression out, get as much damage as possible, and set up to make that big swing where I deal 5 to 6 damage in one turn. And what helps me accomplish this is the Divine Wolf package. I've gone ahead and gotten rid of the Yujis and added the 0/1 White Wolf that allows you to give plus 500 BP to any of your frontline characters when it attacks. But most importantly, if it is in the trash line, the Divine Wolf gains double attack. Or not double attack, it gains double damage. And it is a 3500 BP character. Now, this card paired with the Nobara, paired with all the stuns or removals that you have, help you deal some crazy damage, some crazy turns if you set up right and you see everything that it is that you need. On the other note, if you don't have Nobara and you still have this wolf in the front line, it still does the job of pressuring and pushing that double damage that Nobara would do while you have your other characters. And I think that's the main objective of this deck. Rest the front line, clear the front line, smack them around. And it's been really enjoyable. I feel like the deck plays a little bit faster because you have a better understanding of what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Moving on, we are going to take a closer look at the Mahito deck. I think purple JJK is a sleeper. It is super fun, super combo heavy, and honestly, it feels like a skill check. It's like a more techie bomber deck to me. I've always loved graveyard decks. I've always loved BP manipulation, and that deck has it. It has some crazy things that you can do if you get the ghetto early. Say you rush to 4, drop the ghetto early, you could mana screw your opponent. Sometimes they have 2-3 cards on board, one being in the front, 2 in the back, or just 2 in the back because they're already bricking, and you could win your game that way. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. If you're watching this, whoever I played in my locals, I did that to them. I did that to them. I ghettoed them and forced them to brick. And then honestly, I got instant karma because in the championship round to win the winner Yuji, I bricked. I've never bricked this hard in my life, bro. It was like I was building a house to prevent the big bad wolf from blowing down. That's how bricked up I was. Pause. Other than that, I haven't really been investing myself in the JJK set. I love JJK as an anime as a whole, but what I'm really looking forward to is Code Geass. So I've been saving money for that, and I've also been saving money to travel to Orlando and see what it's like to play against some of you guys that are living around the States and possibly a lot better than I am. I'm just looking to improve as a player and counting the days for Gundam to come down as well and get into that. So without further ado, if you see any mistakes, if you see any combos, any lines, things that you think we should have done differently, leave them in the comments below. I love seeing the discussion that we have, the discussions that you guys have. But until then, let's get into the mix. So getting into it, we're going to do something different from the other Nobara games. We're going to start off with a Divine Dog 0 drop. All right, build that up. The opponent's going to start off with a Mahito. Very standard per usual. And then we're going to see the Dagon drop next. Moving forward, what I really want to do is try to figure out how to set up the Divine Dog so I have early double damage without having to use Nobara. So we're going to go ahead and play our next 0 drop, Nobara herself, as well as a Maki. Now some of you might be curious why I'm not running the 0 drop pandas. The Maki has an active trigger that gives plus 3000, which is good for our double blockers, as well as it being a 2k 0 drop body. We swing, we do the first early damage, and then we see that they drop down a Miwa. Get some cycling in, some draw potential as they continue to set up their board state. One thing that you have to really watch out playing against Ghetto is if they're able to ramp up to 4 energy instantly and drop a Ghetto on you, it could really screw up your energy line. We see that he plays the domain expansion, which kind of scared me a little bit. We see that he drops the Ghetto, the Mahito to the front. He pops the Dagon, that way he has the draw pending. Mills 3, doesn't really see anything important, but he does get the draw, and he goes ahead and plays, I think he finds one. Yes, he plays the Junpei transfigured human to the front and retaliates with his own swing. We go ahead and take that damage because we don't have the 3-1 wolf in hand quite yet. We get a get trigger and we get a Gojo, which is a huge hit for us. Now we have another option, another line that we could visit as we continue progressing. So right here, we're thinking about how we want to move forward. Do we want to push things up, or do we want to continue establishing that energy line? As of right now, I just want to get some blockers out there to deal with something while establishing that energy line. We set up the Divine Dog. That way, if we need to take the chump block, we could get out of 1 damage and already have the Divine Dog established for the double damage next turn. We untap real quick just to check the energy to make sure I have enough. And then we go ahead and we play the 4-1 Gojo, one of the best cards in this deck. That way we have a double blocker and we can actually block out potential 3 if they decide to move something up, or just 2 and take 1 damage. Following over, we see him play a Dagon once again, pops the Dagon instantly, draw pending, goes through the mail, and so far he has not been hitting, and I feel so bad. Gets the draw. We see that I think he's used 2 domain expansions now because of the mail. We do see another Jinpei come out, and we see that he wants to extend his turn, so he's going to play another Junpei down there at the bottom, milled the top 3. We see another domain expansion milled. Bert is not having a good game. We also see the Raid Mahito being milled, but we see that he has 1 in his hand and he pushes it forward. That way he could still push for at least 2 damage. He pops the wolf and Kind of sad that we don't get to chump block at least something to hold off on the damage, but we still get it out. So now the Divine Dog in the back line is live for next turn. We see him come out for the swings for the 4, which is guaranteed. We take that. It is a get trigger. We have a panda that we can add to our hand, and now we have a potential impact or another double blocker. Looking real quick, I was like, oh, it doesn't really matter what order I block, he still gets the damage too, so let's just take this one. We get an active trigger, which it's sad to see the active triggers go out early on, especially when we're gonna block the damage either way, but it is what it is. So moving back over to our turn, we hit the draw, and now we have the Gojo in hand. I really wanted to move and go for the Nobara play early, but we didn't have, I'm pretty sure we were missing 1-0 drop, so we couldn't do what it is that I originally planned to do. Otherwise, we could have rested 2 of their characters from the get-go and then push for 4 double damage. Yeah, 4 double damage, 5 potential damage this turn. So we go in, we take the extra draw. We are going to go ahead and move the Divine Dog up. Again, we think about moving the Nobara up and then quickly realize, oh, I only have 2 energy. We need to generate more energy. So we push the Nobara back. So we go ahead and play the 3-1 panda in the back line, and then we domain expansion, looking to extend our turn. I really want to drop the Gojo here, that way we at least have a wall or bait out some of the combos that Mahito can do to get it removed early. We play over the Maki with a 4-1 panda. A lot of the times you'll see that I play the panda for energy and save one in hand for a impact. So we domain expansion one more time, going really wide. We have the 6 energy, so we're going to tap the 2. We're going to play the Gojo, get another draw cycle out there, and now we have a wall to block the 4K Mahito on the other side. I think we draw into a reverse red technique here. No, we draw into another panda, actually. I'm pretty sure that's what happens. We draw into another panda, so now we just go ahead and we raid in the panda. And now we have 2 double blockers on the front board, one with 2 impacts, and the front line is just looking phenomenal. And I'm not as worried. I know Mahito can do a lot of crazy combos. As of right now, we're seeing that he's whiffing on all the milling, so we're not too pressed. Now it's just deciding the block order. We know if we swing with the double damage right away, he'll block with the Mahito, so we want to see if he'll just take the first one. He takes the first damage here, no triggers. Then we go ahead and swing with the panda, impact guaranteed. He gets a get trigger and he gets the ghetto. So now we have to worry about that coming online and him popping things on my board and potentially messing with my energy line, because a lot of the times I prefer not to remove stuff from my front line just because I want to be able to have blockers, and it can be very tricky because it can be very tricky. So we see him thinking on what he wants to do. He obviously wants to get the ghetto out and establish that board presence. So we see him tap the 2 energy. We know the ghetto's coming, plays it down in the back line, but quickly realizes you can't do the ability unless you play it in the front. So he goes ahead and he plays the ghetto in the front, removing 1 potential attacker. Granted, we have 2 double blocks on our board, so we're not too worried about it. Goes ahead and removes one of his pieces that he can grab back from the graveyard with a combo. I guess it is kind of expendable, but we see him go out and he wants to play the Divergent on the 4-1 double block Gojo, but then remembers you can't target the 4-1 Gojo unless you pay the extra AP. Now, for those that are curious, you can actually snipe the 4-1 Gojo, because snipe is you attacking, you're not choosing or targeting the Gojo with a specific ability. So if anyone has any confusions about that, that's just something I wanted to add. If you guys were very curious, we see that he pops the Jellyfish Junpei, mills 3, we see he finally hits a transfigured human, so now he can start doing his little minusy things. He adds it back to the field, and I think he's looking to see if he has any more in there. Goes ahead and activates the Geto ability. We check our hands to make sure we can still do what it is we can do, and obviously we're just going to get rid of the Nobara since we still have the raid option in the 2-1 Nobara there, and I don't want to get rid of any cards that are in the front line because they're all very valuable pieces. We see him establish another 3-1 Mahito in the back line just in case we get rid of the other one, because again, the Geto and the Mahito together is like the main core engine for how the purple Mahito deck really works. So now he passes turn, heads back over to our side, and now we're thinking about what it is that we wanted to do. I've been sitting on this Nobara for a little bit and I really want to get that combo off. I also don't want to risk my guaranteed impact and double blocker and step with the panda getting popped right away. So we're thinking between moving it back or not. Again, I want to put some pressure on his board and take out potential 4K swings. So we go ahead and we're going to step the panda back. We're going to move the Nobara up. And for those that aren't aware of this combo, this is a very popular combo that you can do with Nobara, especially the 2-1. You have the Nobara in the front, you go ahead and rest it, right? And I try to rest the smaller bodies and then stun another smaller body unless they have something super problematic. We go ahead and move the panda up real quick just to get the extra draw, and then we go ahead and go with what we're doing. When we play these webcam games, it's a lot of us labbing new decks, seeing what it is that we want to do, and obviously improving. So bear with us in these webcam games. Here we go ahead and tap down the transfigured human. I'm pretty sure upon more thought, I sit there and I'm like, how do we draw out some of the blocks and remove some of the bodies? So right here, I'm just trying to figure out what is the correct body to tap down. He can block the Divine Wolf because I don't have a way to boost it to 4K. So we just go ahead and we're going to tap down the Geto first, and then we stun the Mahito because the Geto's ability still works whether it's stunned or not, right? But the Mahito, you remove the Mahito and it can't attack. So we go in, we stun the Mahito, and then we give the Nobara double damage. We now have 2 double damages online on board, and we have a double block in the 4-1 Gojo, and then we have a guaranteed impact. So we swing with the 35 first, we draw that block, and then we swing with the 4-1 Gojo. The rule of thumb that I've been learning through some games with Cosmic and T-Mac in the webcam when we be labbing, we see that he gets a get trigger in the Mahito. When you swing with double damage, you always want to swing with your singles first, because if they take that life, it's less of a risk of you getting a kill trigger or raid trigger or something. Whereas if you swing with your double damage first, yes, you're getting more damage out there, but you're more likely to hit something that's problematic. You might hit a special trigger and a raid trigger, or you might hit 2 active triggers. You never know what's going to happen. So you want to get your single damage out first and then follow up with the double damage. But it's also situational base. So we get the bodies removed that we wanted to, right? We see that he commits to moving up the Mahito from the energy line back to the front so he can do the combo once again. We see that he pops the little transfigured human's ability to do a -1K on the Nobara. I think this was the right direction he should have gone with, and then just transfigured human the Nobara, but he really wants to get rid of the Gojo. I understand, because it is very problematic. We see the 3-1 Mahito come out, and right here is wherein he changes his mind to -1K on the Gojo. So now the Gojo's sitting at 4. He pops the Miwa brings back the transfigured human again, and he's gonna pop it one more time to bring the Gojo down to a 3k. Then we see the auto transfiguration come out, and we see that he removes the body. So it's a lot of resources to commit to removing the 5k, and I get that it's a free block, especially when I have double blockers. So I'm very curious to see and hear your guys' thoughts in the comments below. What order of events do you think would have been better? Part of me also thinks he should have just committed to getting rid of either the Nobara or the little wolf, just because those are double damage and they're always going to be pressuring you as well. So we know that he has a guaranteed swing with the impact, but the 4-1 Gojo thankfully blocks out everything. We do have to get rid of something because of the Geto ability, so we get rid of the non-rated panda, so now we're down to 2 energy. And again, this is a very tricky situation. Sometimes, a lot of times people are, we hit the color trigger. A lot of times people are going to want to remove their bodies at the front line, right? But again, I have a lot of pressure already. We used the color trigger and we re-stunned the Mahito just to get rid of one of those 4k swingers. And now it's time to figure out what we want to do. I was trying to figure out what the right events, like the sequence order here, would have been. I could have moved the panda up and committed, but I just don't want to risk the guaranteed impact getting popped, as well as the fact that it is a double blocker and it is a double energy. So we go ahead and play the divine wolf in the front. My thought process at the time was we could use it to boost the big wolf to a 4k, and then we play the Nobara in the back for energy, and then we go ahead and play the reverse technique, but we don't commit to it yet, because again, trying to figure out the correct sequence for how this works and how we can keep up the pressure. Eventually I realize it would be the same either way, but let me not commit so much resources to this. So we just go ahead and backtrack. I guess technically I still could have did what I did and had another blocker on board, but I was trying to figure out how to threaten this double damage and not guarantee that he still has a body. I was originally trying to figure out how do we keep the Geto on board so I can force him to block, but there was nothing we could really do. So we go ahead and do the double damage on the Nobara. We play the Nobara in the back, and then we swing with the 35 double damage wolf. We get the block out of the transfigured human. Then we're going to swing with the 3500, which the damage will go through because he wants to block the double damage, otherwise that's game. So we go ahead and just get that out of the way, right? And then we swing and we get the last damage out. And I'm not sure if this was the right sequence. I think either way it would have been the same thing. But now, right, he has to commit to the energy line. So finally the 4k Mahito is free. He has to decide now whether to commit to moving the other Mahito up to get that combo with the Geto off, or to keep it in the back as an energy, because now he's working with 2 energy as well. We see him contemplating on that, thinking about the cards that he has in hand. He eventually moves it back and then moves it back forward, trying to figure out what it is he can do to get around this. He does have 1 damage guaranteed. Part of me feels like he should have committed to the bodies to an extent, because if he can't end game here, he's losing, right? That's the reason why I kept the panda in the back, because the panda is my guaranteed impact. If we had the panda in the front, we could probably see him chain out some combos to get rid of the panda and then stall out the game a little bit longer, knowing that he has the Geto and he has the impact in that. So we see him pondering on it, really trying to figure out how to get out of this one. So he does commit to pushing the Mahito forward. We see him tap 1 to drop the transfigured human. Oh no, yeah, transfigured human. And then he's gonna go ahead and pop the transfigured human with his ability, the Mahito ability, to then force us to also pop something on our field with the Geto ability. brings the transfigured human back, so he could neg 1000 on something if possible. And that's another reason why I wanted to get the force block out of the transfigured human or something, because if the transfigured human was still on board this turn, he could just neg 2 on either the Nobara or the big wolf and possibly remove it. So he realizes he can't keep the transfigured human in the front line because he needs that energy. So he plays the transfigured human in the back, and then plays another transfigured human in the Junpei 1-drop, whatever that is, to the front, and then he swings with the Mahito. We go ahead and take that damage. We get the active trigger, and now we can just block out the either way. So either way, I was prepared to take the 2 damage because I had the game in my hands, but getting that active trigger was very much clutch. We draw into it. We go ahead and promote the panda because we have the impact to finish off the game. We tap 1. We play the divine dog in the back. We play the Nobara, and I know some of you guys are going to be curious for why we have that in the deck. And then we add the double damage. We go ahead and discard the panda. We add the double damage. That way we can still pressure. And I've seen him use so many domain expansions that get milled. I doubt he had the final trigger. So we just go for game right there. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know if you saw any misplays on both ends, some certain lines that you think were interesting, if we could have played it differently, and most importantly, I hope you guys enjoyed your tea break, and we'll catch you on the next one.